that probably I put on social media that should only go to the social media extent. But when you're talking about job industry, probably they should not cross to that part.
Tricky.
Yes.
I see. What social media platforms are you most vibrant on?
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
All right.
Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Instagram and just Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this social media platforms, what are some of the things that you focus on, maybe topics that you focus on talking about most of the time?
It depends on which platform I'm using. If it's Twitter, I mostly go to my Twitter handle, just look at political news, who's saying who about politics, and general maybe highlights in the country. But when it comes to Instagram, I'd post a picture of me enjoying time with my family, or just chilling with some friends, or even just post a picture of myself doing something simple.
Right. Do you ever post maybe topics or posts that are related to your career path anytime?
Yeah, I've ever done that. I've ever posted it was twice on a construction project, and I guess taking a picture of yourself doing something that's work oriented.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, all right. And for you?
Yes, particularly because what I do really requires a large social media influence. Aside from what I study, I write. So social media is one of the very available platforms you have to market what you do. So in the end, you have to use whichever platform to reach out to whoever may be interested in your product, so that they can be able to actually give you that opportunity to work with them. So definitely.
All right. Yourself, do you write stuff that are to do with your career?
Probably not. I check my social media a lot, and whatever is there does not really reflect my career, because I personally think my career partially does not really need a social media presence.
It doesn't?
Probably it doesn't.
Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably it doesn't. Or let's say, as at now, I feel like my social media is just for my entertainment purposes, and not for career. As at now, yes.
All right. In your social media, do you follow maybe companies or people who would influence your career? Like maybe they would give you a job in future, or?
Yes, definitely I do. I'd like to have my ears out there to know what's happening and what are people doing, what's trending basically. And in terms of my career, of course, I have that. It's like an extra eye you have on the market out there, because it's a wide tool that everyone uses. And when you have that network around you, then you probably have better chances of knowing what's happening. And I think it's more informative even about your career path and what happens even outside your career. Yes.
All right. Do you yourselves follow people who are influential maybe in your career, or companies that could hire you?
Yes, particularly on pages such as LinkedIn. That's basically where you want to meet your next employer, and you want your content to influence maybe that decision to hire you. So definitely.
All right. Let me ask, so you guys have told me how your social media is and you feel it reflects who you are, except for you, Bill, you say you're not very sure. But if today your boss looked at your social media platform, would they still keep you in the job or no? I think let's start with him, because Bill is not very sure.
Yes, definitely it would. I don't think there's something that would portray a negative image to a prospective employer, showing him that him or her why they shouldn't employ me. So no, not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Unless, but at the end of the day, then it depends on what you think is negative and what someone else thinks. It's a perspective on your own as an employer.
All right.
It depends with which platform. Let me start from there. Because, for example, Snapchat. If my employer saw me on Snapchat, they'd be like, okay, I don't think this is necessary, because Snapchat is more of just posting what is happening in the moment. So they'd be like, why are you spending all your time on this platform? But if they looked at my LinkedIn, for example, they'd think, okay, this is what she does, this is what she's all about. So that would be a plus, actually. So I think it depends with which platform it is.
All right.
I also think social media is becoming real time. That's number one. Then number two, it might not be an exact reflection of who you are. That is, for example, if you check Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, these days you find that there are stories that they post to your day-to-day, let's say, life or what you do on a daily basis. So you find that most of the time, probably, whatever you post on your real-time social media might not actually reflect. Let's say today you are off work, you are somewhere hanging out. Tomorrow you'll be somewhere different, and probably if that's what they go by, it might not reflect your, let's say, career side or that exact kind of side. And again, if you check a couple of social media pages, like if you went to my Instagram and you went to my Facebook, those are two different people. Because probably my Facebook is where everyone else is, my parents, my grandmother, you know. So probably I would not post things that would cause some, you know, some tension, because I know that is that other side of life. On my Instagram, it's mostly for the young friends I have, and I probably feel free to post what I want on my Instagram. So if my future employer was to go on my Instagram and my Facebook, those are two different people. You get. Then also you find there's this thing that Facebook has, whereby there's a school, employment, you know. Yeah, so you find that probably in my employment status in Facebook, I'm already employed somehow. But at the same time, I'm jobless in real life. So you find that it might not be a true reflection of what exactly is happening in my life, based on the real-time part of it, and also what I feel I should post, or who I should be on Facebook and some other platforms. Yes.
With that in mind, do you think it is all right or fair for employers, because a lot of employers this day actually are using social media to, you know, to find employees? Do you think it's fair for them to use that to, I don't know, boost your CV or boost your interview?
I think when it comes, let me not answer first. Let me say what, and then I'll answer you. When it comes to government employment, like when, for example, like senior jobs, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has been mandated with the authority to look at your integrity as a person. So whether, first of all, our opinions won't matter here, but that's what they have to do, such that if you'll be on when you'll be on a vetting panel and you did something and you posted it somewhere and you thought people won't know, probably it will be brought to the limelight. Then, because now you see government positions are positions that require integrity and stuff. So that thing is one we can't scrap. But what I think is, yes, I think they should look at your social media profile.
All right, thank you for that. I'd just like to remind our viewers a question tonight. Should employers use social media contents of their job applicants in the vetting process? We will take a short commercial break, but we'll definitely be right back with that discussion. 22162 is our SMS line. Start with the word news. We would like to hear what you guys have to say.
Says, can you see how much fun I'm having? Wow, woo. I can tell you how to get here, okay? First of all, 22162 is a text line, and you start with the word bounce. Now you tell me your love story or your relationship in one sentence, and you can stand a chance to win an ice skating experience. Not one, not two, but 3 lucky couples are gonna go away with tickets to come and learn how to skate or try and fall while at it. And all you have to do is send a message to 22162. Start with the word bounce and give us in one sentence your love story or your relationship. My name is Valentine.
Let's do it again. I did not just fall in love with you. I walked straight into love with you with my eyes wide open. Because love is not blind, it sees what is most true. When you are in love with someone, you hope it will last forever. No great love ever came without a great struggle. The struggle to walk.
Welcome back. So we'll just get back into our discussion, and my guests were telling us how they feel about employers using social media to find their employees. We'll just continue with that discussion.
It's a very touchy issue because one, the internet never forgets. And whether you posted it 10 years ago or you posted it yesterday, it has an implication on you. So the first thing I think is, if you will use my social media to vet me, there should be full disclosure that the same is being taken into consideration. If you tell me, for example, we'll look through your Instagram, your Twitter, and your LinkedIn, you know, when I know, and I know it's a factor, then I'm aware, not that I show up for an interview, then I don't get a call back because someone saw something on my Twitter, and I wasn't aware that's one of the things being assessed. At the same time, everyone has a freedom of expression. And lately on Twitter, people have been saying that people use other people's political divides to decide whether or not they hire them, because Twitter is actually one very big employer, because everyone will put up a tweet and say, I do this, my employer could be on your timeline, and people will retweet. So this employer will look at maybe what you stand for politically and may decide, he does a good job, but because he's on this side of the political divide, won't give them a job. So when it gets to that, it feels a bit unfair, because you have a right to say what you believe, your freedom of expression, not nationally, also internationally. So it's a bit, there's no clearly cut line. It's a very thin line. So I think the most important thing would be, when you're giving me this job, tell me what you put up on social media matters. Then I will be okay with whatever results I get.
All right. Bill, what's your take on this?
I think it's a 50-50, just like she said. When we're walking here, we're talking about how some jobs actually require your social media presence. Like, for example, there are jobs you'd go to and they check your number of followers on Twitter, because probably the company would use your social media as a marketing tool. So you find that at that particular point, your social media will play to your advantage when you're applying for that same job. Then also, I remember when I was applying for my US visa, I was told to, my mom told me to delete everything I talked bad about Donald Trump. At the same time, I felt like I have the freedom of expression. I feel like I'd like to say what I wish to say. But you see, at that particular point, I'd probably not get my visa if those posts about Donald Trump that were not very positive were still on my social media. So it's a 50-50 in terms of, you find that at some point it infringes on those rights you have, on that freedom you want to have of expression, of interaction with your friends, and saying what you feel like at what particular point, without having someone to judge you based on that, because that's what you feel, or your religion, or what you feel towards basically anything. And also at the same time, you find that it plays an advantage, especially when it's being used, let's say, as an marketing tool, e-commerce and all that. So it's a 50-50, and probably my employer should come clean on what they want to check on my social media. If they want to use it as a marketing tool, then probably they should tell me, hey, we are checking your number of followers, and probably that's it. But again, if they want to know what I stand for, from my religion to my political views to what I know here and there, then again they should also come clean, because human beings are different, and that's a whole variety of things you have to go through before you give me this job. Yes.
All right, as we finish up and just look on the power of social media, maybe in terms of getting a job, like maybe if you have any experience where you got a job through social media, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn, maybe you could share with us. Or where maybe you almost did get a job if you actually didn't get it.
No, there was this time there was a post going around on guys who were required to supply something, and I didn't get the job, but I was called to come there, just table, give us what you have, what you would you want to give us, what you offer, things like that. And it works. I've seen so many people.
Works. And which social media platform was that?
Instagram. It was Instagram, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
and there was this time there was a post that was trending on social media. There's a guy who was walking with placards on the streets of Nairobi, written, "I have these qualifications and I don't have a job. Please give me a job." And from what I followed on social media, eventually he got a job.
Okay.
And I think it's a public stunt that so many people use. And the power of social media at the end of the day uses it. And again, the case of Githeri Man,
Yes,
probably.
of course. There's
Yeah,
so much
it was
power in
it was
social media.
hyped. Then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, probably he fell on a better place. Yeah.
Right. All right. Any experience from you? Just
I think
briefly.
in informal employment, for example, someone wants you to probably, in my other thing of writing, if someone wants you to probably draft something, social media is your biggest tool. So I can say I've been able to meet very many people who have been able to feature through my social media.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing your experience with us and giving us insight on that particular topic. We do thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you to the entire team that made this bulletin possible. We do wish you a good night, and we'll see you same time, same place next Tuesday. Good night.